Welcome to Share Talk, the only podcast where investors come first.
Hello and welcome to Share Talk. Today I'm joined by Bill Brodie Good, who is Technical Director at Alien Metals. The ticker there, the EPIC code there, one of the best on the market, UFO, difficult to forget. And so I'll go straight into it with you now. Bill, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. As you see, a little bit hairy and furry, but I suppose from my background as a field geologist, it's how I spent a lot of time in the past, anyway. But no, I'm well, thank you. And yourself?
Okay, great. I'm doing fine. I'm enjoying the not having to go to a studio, traipsing around town. But first question today, please could you give viewers who don't know who Alien Metals are a quick introduction to the company and its portfolio of assets?
Alien is obviously a junior AIM-listed company with a suite of assets, some inherited and some recently picked up, with the idea of picking up low-cost but high-potential projects, exploration projects at this stage in solid jurisdictions, moving them up the value curve, doing some cost-effective exploration to add knowledge value, potentially bring them up to pre-resource or even resource level, and then find partners, strategic partners, to either move things forward when they get larger, or from our point of view, maybe to join in with into other projects and add our support and experience. So at the moment we have core projects in Mexico and Australia, two very sound jurisdictions. Mexico, we have two very interesting and exciting silver projects and one copper VMS, volcanic massive sulfide type potential project as well. In Australia, in the last few months, Alien picked up 51% share in two very interesting high-grade iron ore projects in the Pilbara in Western Australia. And we're also in the process of finalising acquisition of the Elizabeth Hills silver mine, also in the Pilbara region of Western Australia, which, again, has a lot of silver potential, but also nickel, copper, and even platinum group elements being associated with the money complex.
Right. You've partly answered the next question, but you have a diversified portfolio of assets, including Elizabeth Hill, as you've just said, and the recently acquired Western Australia iron ore projects. What opportunities and value do you think that these bring to existing and potentially new shareholders?
Well, having good projects in stable jurisdictions to start with, I feel already gives security and obviously a low risk factor for the projects. They all have, we feel, great potential to contain at whatever level resources that will be of interest to either, we're not really mining group, but potentially we could move them forward, or to the larger companies in the area, such as in the iron ore field. You have, obviously, we're surrounded by BHP, Rio Tinto, Fortescue, who are all working and operating in all around our projects. And so we add value to these projects. We prove up initial resource, for example, on the iron ore, and it adds value to the projects. And obviously we'll incur interest from these parties, because we've done all the groundwork, and all they need to come along and do is dig it up and chuck it on a train and send it to China or wherever it's going to go. Similarly, in Mexico, good projects, good potential for resource, containing significant resources, and again with cost-effective work that we're planning, and obviously slightly hindered at the moment due to the terrible situation with COVID-19, but we are still planning to upgrade, develop these projects, add value for everyone's good, and at the same time look at other projects that might fit the criteria, and add more to the portfolio of the company.
I mean, over the past few months, you've consistently provided updates on Donovan 2, including most recently identifying multiple copper-gold targets. Can you give us more detail on this?
Yeah, Donovan 2 is actually very exciting. It's almost not standalone, but it is our only sort of at the moment copper-gold core project. Over the last 18 months, the company did some limited groundwork. There's very little. I've been on the ground. There's very little outcrop. There's subcrop, and more importantly, there's material that's been extracted from an old well. It's been defined as an old mine workings, but it looks more like an old well that was dug by the landowners for, obviously, it's a very dry area. So what we gradually built up on small phases of work, and most recently did a more detailed ground induced polarization survey, and they produced two very strong anomalies, one coincident with some excellent surface sampling that gave us over 3% copper. You can see the copper mineralization in the rocks. I've actually got a specimen here at home that I hoard jealously rather than sending to the lab. And the second anomaly is also coincident with a gravity anomaly that was defined in a previous program. At the moment, we have a third-party independent group reviewing all the data. They've worked on the San Nicolas VMS project owned by Teck, which is literally 20 Ks down the road. So they have knowledge of, they can use their experience on that deposit to help interpret the data we have. And I'm confident they're going to give us very similar targets that we feel we have to put some drill holes in. I mean, the drilling is what's needed to fully test this, because, as I said, it is covered. It is a blind system, other than this well that only goes down 10, 12 meters.
Okay. On Monday, you raised some money to advance precious metals exploration. Can you give us a few more details on how the funds will be used?
Yeah, I mean, as I say, we've got we're fortunate to have a not say diverse, but a core set of projects that we're working on now. Obviously, each project needs its own next stage of work to be done, which is what we have in the pipeline already. We were hoping to already be doing some underground sampling work on San Celso, which is one of the silver projects in Mexico. Following that with an initial drilling program. That will still happen, but obviously that's limited to the COVID-19 issue, to ensure that anyone going in the field is safe, and we're following government guidelines. Similarly, the Los Campos silver project, pretty much the same process is planned. So there's funds already sort of set aside for that. I just mentioned with Donovan 2, the certain funds for this third-party reinterpretation work. And then hopefully, again, once movement is possible, an initial drilling program. We have some excellent rates for drilling from a local group based out of Fresnillo, which is, I visited their operation, a very slick drilling outfit. So looking forward, hopefully, to putting some holes in the ground there. In Australia, some of the funds will go to completing the acquisition. Only a small amount, because that was already sort of accounted for. And then also for the iron ore, we are pushing forward like a review of all the historic data. And you have to remember, historically, work done across the Pilbara for the iron ore, there were huge tenements. So we have to plow through quite big reports to extract the relevant data from the areas we have. But that's moving ahead well, and we're gaining quite a bit of information. That's going to help us finalize a field program. And actually, in Western Australia at the moment, they've been very fortunate with the COVID-19, and potentially we'll be able to put a small team into the field in the coming West Australian winter, which is the perfect time to do field work there. So some of the funds will go towards that, and even to, if we're able, timing might be an issue, but to even put 2 or 4 drill holes into one of the main prospects we feel is essentially drill ready to prove up its potential.
You touched about it. Touched upon it already, but how has COVID-19 affected operations across the whole portfolio of assets?
Obviously, our duty is to protect all staff, employees, consultants, and everyone else, and families and everyone associated. So we've obviously been very careful, and we've there's been no movement. No one is being sent out into the field or being sent into offices. The whole group, the team in Mexico, in Australia, the corporate team, everyone's sort of taken a little slice of income to maintain a good standing in our budgets and our financials, and we're just working in the background. And I'm hoping, from what I was saying before, that as soon as we are able to get out in the field, our plans will be in place. Our costs will be there, our budgets, our contracts with drillers, with laboratories will be all in place. And so we can sort of literally hit the ground running and start doing these next phases of work. And I should also note that in this quieter time, we are doing a lot of, we've been shown several projects in Mexico, in Australia, and even further afield, which we're having an opportunity, while things are a bit quieter, to look at, go through, and see if they fit the alien strategy, budgetary, commodity, location, etc.
It sounds as though you've been quite busy going into the present day, but can you tell us what we can expect from the company over the next few months? It's going to be a little bit based on opportunity to get into the field. We obviously have this research being done on Donovan 2, so hopefully as soon as we get some a sort of result, a report from those guys, we can put some news out to that effect. The iron ore work, again, once we compile more data, I'm hoping we'll find a few new bits of information that will help compile a strategic plan, a field plan that we can update the investors with. Elizabeth Hill, hopefully that deal will be completed in Q2. So obviously that's a piece of news. If we pick a new block of ground up or a new project, I'd like to think that the most positive will be upscaling, adding value to all these projects by being able to do a little bit of work on in the field. But that's going to be a little bit of function of the situation. Bill Brodie Good, Technical Director at Alien Metals, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Zach, for your time. Take care, everyone.
Thank you for listening. Remember to visit our website for more news and other podcasts at www.share-talk.com.